I reckon, that's right, I reckon it's about time that we, look, let's get to work, everyone. You're not here for fun. You're not here for D&D. You're here to work. You're here to think. You're here to not enjoy yourself. You're here to heavily criticize the work of other people, all with a smug sense of superiority. With that, speaking of memes, that Xbox kid kind of smirk. Let's yeehaw into this here book. That's right, chillins. I'ma learn ya. I'ma learn ya good. As y'all can see here, we's on page 112. That's way down yonder in this PDF, down by the pawpaw patch. This here book I done now tell ya. That's right, and if'ns you don't follow along, realize that I don't take kindly to them's what don't take kindly. I did done told you about 1,000 times, says Klepta. And that's right. With this here accent, oh, we conjunctivating all kinds of tenses, all in one. I tell you what. I done did gone and went got upset over conjunctivating verbs. I done did, gone and went, done and did it. You can? Reckon? All right, then. Want to make sure we's copacetic like. As someone from about as far north as you can get in the U.S., this hurts. Welcome, Joe. You gonna get the birch again. If you got conjunctivating, you need to see a dentist. I sure do reckon. See, now I am not originally from Florida. I'm originally from I'm not originally from Ohio. I am originally from Southern Ohio, as we talked about. So I got the quaint y'all, and I call things soda, despite many people in the North calling it pop. And probably a couple other little quaint euphemisms. And, you know, some exposure to the a slight Southern drawl. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy dipping hard into into the quaintness that is the Southern accent or the drawl. Coke's what we say here in Arkansas. Ain't no pop, not around these here parts. Y'all got that that green Coke? You mean Mountain Dew? Yeah, that there. Green Coke. Y'all want to get you a cold drink? You know, and by practicing accents, by the way, that makes for awesome role-playing. It really does. You know, it's just sometimes, even if you think it's, oh yeah, you know, dwarves are Scottish, halflings are Irish. You know, you get all of these fun ways to just say words. You can talk with deep Russian accent. Roll your R's. And it really is from the throat. It helps if you play 7th Sea, like I did, and I had Yevhen Brushkaya, first prophet, wrestler. He would go around and not kill anyone. All the while, he would do the things that would make life better for the people. Of course, you get Russian Oh, here's your accent, your American-Russian accent. And he laughed. That is no Russian accent, he says. It just means that you have to double down on your studies to become better at accents, especially if you wish to invoke things like Russian accent. I love doing Russian accents. Just imagine you're trying to hold back some vodka in your throat. Yeah, it is kind of, yeah, it's more in the back. Oh, this is what D&D is, everyone. Right here. We're steeped in it. We're steeped like southern sweet tea brewed in the sun. It's almost like half talking because you don't fully use the chords. Yes, I would thoroughly enjoy a nice, quaint, refreshing beverage. Please and thank you. Y'all come back now, you hear? So also, when we play a Trivia Murder Party, you know, I'm the ghost chasing after the first person. You know, I just get that kind of, I'm gonna get you. I's gonna get you. Oh, gosh. That needs a British accent, snooty British, not Cockney. Yes, I agree. Cockney is when you speak English, but it's more like you chew it up and spit it out than actually using the language. Now, you could go, like, super, like, posh, like, yes, I would thoroughly enjoy a nice, quaint, refreshing beverage. Please and thank you. It becomes almost back of the nose, like somewhat nasally and more drawn out. And of course, you can add in a little bluster there and that. Yes, yes. So it's more of an MMMYES. Yes, I would thoroughly enjoy a nice, quaint, refreshing beverage. Please and thank you. And of course, you got to make your elves French, because you do. Razia, welcome. So yes, these are the mascots of the channel. We have Red Dragon Girl and we have Black Griffin Boy. They are very original names, actually. I've taken some suggestions for names. I might open the pool back up one more time since we have a lot of new friends. But these are incarnations of the description when I kind of did a quasi contest for people to design mascots for the channel based on a very broad prompt. In fact, you can see her also, boop, on our break screen. You can see Red Dragon Girl and Black Griffin Boy. You can see a lot of other characters that have been played at the store in the public games. And you can also see their quasi-mascots, but we have the Tumbled Wench, and then we have Bitty, B-I-T-T-Y, Bitty the Snake, is there guarding the Bit Cup. And there's a couple different incarnations of them, too, that you can see. For instance, if we go here. Obviously, the Black Griffin's name is Bartholomew. He also goes by Tolm, but never Bart. Can I play the game with me? Well, Razia, when the Tuesday game finishes, I will be looking for more for a new squad of people to run another ongoing campaign session on Tuesday evenings. at least Tuesday evenings that are local to me. And I do have plans for an ongoing sailing campaign that will cycle people through on various missions. And so that is something, as soon as I figure out the logistics and I can implement them, then I will do so. Bartholomew, my bad. Well, I will. I'll open up a naming suggestion thread, probably in the seasonal and temporary channel. And if you all have inspiration for the mascots, then you are welcome to. You are welcome to offer suggestions. Well, we'll see what happens when we get to that point, Razia. I will make an announcement on Discord, and so everyone will get the chance to see it. The Armada of the Ruddy Raven. Different missions of different ships. Well, it would end up being something along the lines of... there would be, at first anyway, a single ship. And I would run the missions like kind of like Star Trek episodes. Where we have away missions of various members of the crew. This way I can cycle different people through every presentation. And then you would go out and make first contact with natives. You'd go on supply runs. We'd have naval combat. All kinds of stuff like that. Wings, not arms. Well, yeah. And, well, aspects of the ship and whatnot are going to be opened up for suggestion as well. No, you're fine, Klepto. Don't worry about it. Well, speaking of marks and whatnot, I have the Dragonmark stuff here open. If you have any questions, by the way, or if you want to continue to throw out some very quaint euphemisms or accented speech, you're welcome to do so. Though I figure here we'll get through some of the content here. I just like to brainstorm. Oh yeah, Klepto, this is a workshop environment. If you want to get ideas out, you are welcome to do so. I encourage that 100%. Yeah, Razia, I thought you were on the Discord already. If not, then if not you or anyone else who joins, remember it's a PG 13 like safe for work Discord, and yeah, I remember, Razia. And make sure that your name on Discord matches your name on Twitch, because it'll make it easier for us to communicate. Yeah, no problem, Razia. Lasaria, yep, we're gonna delve right into it. All right, so we were talking dragon marks. Dragon marks in Eberron are proof that you are descended from the progenitors of Eberron, which is a world created by dragons. And they are split up among several races, and each mark focuses on something different. In a section last night, we're talking about aberrant dragon marks. So dragon marks that show up on people who aren't an heir or a descendant of this, this house that can produce this dragon mark. We went through all the different ones, what they mean and what they grant, because in 5th edition, dragon marks are treated like feats. And in some ways, actually, if we go back to the Wayfinder's guide, dragon marks are a subrace. Right? If you take the halfling that has the hospitality dragon mark, then instead of being a lightfoot halfling or a stout halfling, you are a dragon mark halfling. And so you get the benefits of the dragon mark and what a baseline halfling gets. Now humans get it, and then so there's some accommodations for that. As well, by having a dragon mark, this opens up options. So you see this character here has a dragon mark on her back, and she is a house agent. So these marks have a very important role in Eberron. And I'll reference you back to the Wayfinder's Guide for a little bit more information on that. This is simply a continuation, but just to make it easy, they act like feats. And so your DM would have to approve of those feats. That said, in Eberron, these are almost expected to exist. So I guess feats are still optional, but just bear in mind that they're heavily implied that you can take this as a part of your character. You think she's a bombshell, Black Wolf? Well, she might. If she's a house agent, she'll try and get some information from you, one way or another, anyway. All right, that was the Subraces Mark, and now we're in part 2. There we go. Shukan, good morning to you. Setting up my... am I setting up my world? I am not, Razia. We're going over content for a campaign setting called Eberron. Yeah, so Razia, the Morgrave Miscellany book is... So we're on page 112? This is the expansion to the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron, which is the 5th edition version of the Eberron campaign setting. The ideas presented in here can help you get adjusted to playing in this world, or can inspire you to take elements from it and place it in your own custom homebrew world. Question for everyone, what's your favorite expansion book? Mine is probably Volo's. Volo's has some good stuff in it. Xanathar's Guide to Everything is really solid all the way around. I'm building my own world from the ground up. Hope to make it and sell it as a book. That's awesome, Razia. Or I think we said it was Rosia. And if you ever need inspiration, hey, let us know on the channel. And we can help you get through some, if you have a block of creativity, or, if you need something that is considered for play testing, you can let us know. And we'll help you out. Marked by Death. Dragonmarked Mysteries. Where did the Dragonmarks come from? Are they a strange manifestation of nature, or truly tied to a vast prophecy? What are the stories of a 13th mark lost long ago? Explore the stories and the history of Dragonmarks and see what mysteries can be solved. And by the way, this whole supplement is presented like coursework in a college. I love it. Very thematic. Any citizen of the 5 nations can name the 12 true dragon marks. The marks are pillars of modern society, cornerstones of the tools people use every day. Everyone knows them, but there is another dragon mark. Few now remember the 13th dragon mark, once an accepted member of the known houses, and once wiped from the world, known as the Mark of Death. The Dragon Mark of Death manifested on the line of Vol, a noble house of elves in Erenal. The mark granted horrifying powers, and the line of Vol allied with a clan of evil dragons, who planned to use the malevolent powers of the mark to dominate Erenal and usher in an age of undead terrors. The elves of the Undying Court were forced to join forces with heroic dragons from Argonneson. It was a bloody war, but ultimately the champions of light and life overcame the forces of darkness and death. After careful study, the sibling kings of Erenal regretfully concluded that the Mark of Death was deemed too dangerous to exist and must be completely eradicated for the greater good. This meant the execution of everyone with any connection to the bloodline of Vol, and the dragons and the Erenai solemnly carried out this sentence, erasing the Mark of Death from the world. At least this is the tale as it is recorded in the archives of Erenal. Even though the line of Vol was wiped out, they had allies. Now, I'm not going to read the entirety. This is a lot of fluff. This is story for you to consume, but I want to delve a little bit into it, so we're getting a sense of the theme of what's happening here. I also want to, offer you the opportunity to, to read this yourself. Support the creators. Get the PDF and enjoy it. Still stuck making my map. I have to make the map down. Just need to make one more continent. It's like Humblewood or Xanathar's Guide. Well, Razia, yeah, again, if you need inspiration or help, you have plenty of people here who are willing to step up and give you a hand with that. The Exiled Mark. There are a few ways a character could develop the Dragon Mark of Death. Part of the Draconic Prophecy, can't be destroyed. Character might have a blood connection to the line of Vol. We're getting into reasons why this manifests in Eberron, as well as ways that you can consider equivalent manifestations of this Dragon Mark should you want to employ this in a world of your own design. All this role-playing, all of this lore. Using the Mark of Death in a campaign is a choice both DM and player should make carefully. It's something that should have a tremendous impact on a campaign and on a character's personal story. A player should be prepared for their character to be a literal and figurative target. The DM will need to decide on the exact truth behind the legends, regardless if that truth is ever revealed to the characters. This is also why reading this supplement information is important. What is being presented here is, well, we'll see in a second, is probably going to appear very powerful. And in the world of Eberron even, while it is an option, it is not by default a balanced option, because the history, how it is supposed to be revered in Eberron, means that you are an outcast. People are going to hunt you down and kill you because of the Dragon Mark you bear. Doesn't matter if you're the nicest person in the world. You need to die. And there we have a role-playing check, right? A fluff counter to the crunch core of this ability. Oh, yeah, and, Lasari, I'd love to see the progress if you're willing to share that. The Dragon Mark of Death is one of the great mysteries of Eberron, and it is likely that it will become... it is unlikely that it will become official content or ever have an official answer. In this section, the designers present rules for using the mark in 5th edition, which intends the Mark of Death to be a useful tool as opposed to a deadly weapon, supporting the sympathetic view of the line of Vol. As always, a DM may decide to use the mark as presented here, or introduce a different form of the mark to suit the campaign. The Mark of Death is designed with the assumption that the mark will reappear on a character with a blood tie to the line of Vol. While an elf makes the most logical choice, a more exotic story option might involve one of the Dragonborn race. However, the DM could use the feats presented here to assign the mark to any race, or even multiple races. As such, the ultimate approval to the prerequisites for the feats is the DM's approval. So here we're getting some art samples of what it looks like and how it manifests. So, if you remember what I said, the Dragon Mark appears as a subrace. In this case, the Mark of Death is being offered as an elf subrace. This form of the Mark of Death only manifests on elves. If your character has the Mark of Death, this is their elf subrace. So if we come over here, if we are creating... Whoops, we need this. Go to elf. There we go. We would get all of this, where it says elf traits, all of this. But where it's everything under high elf, and everything under wood elf, and everything under dark elf, set that to the side. Because your subrace is the Mark of Death. So in this case, our dex score increases by 2 because we're an elf, generically. From the Mark of Death, your wisdom and charisma increase by 1. When you make a charisma ability check to interact with the dead or undead, you can roll an intuition die, a d4, and add the number rolled to the ability check. Unliving Bond. As an action, you establish a telepathic link with one undead creature you can touch that isn't hostile toward you. For the next 10 minutes, the link is active, while you and the other creature are within line of sight of each other. Through the link, the undead creature can understand your telepathic messages to it, and it can telepathically communicate simple emotions and concepts back to you. While the link is active, the undead creature gains advantage on attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that you can see. Or you can choose to take a fledgling Mark of Death as a feat. Prerequisite Elf or Dragonborn, and you must not already have a Dragon Mark. You've developed a Dragon Mark. The mark has appeared unusually late in life, and you don't have the training or experience most heirs receive after the test of Subraces. Your Dragon Mark provides the following benefits. Increase your charisma by 1. You learn the Spare the Dying cantrip, and charisma is your spellcasting ability for it. And when you make a charisma ability check to interact with the dead or undead, you can roll the d4 intuition die. You can then take it again as a feat that you have the Mark of Death. So, Dragonborn or Elf, 8th level. All right, I'm sorry, Mark of Death up here. Your Dragon Mark has grown in size and power. This enhances your existing Dragon Mark, and the benefits are based on the mark you already possess. The Greater Mark of Death provides the following benefits. Another bump to Charisma. You increase to a D6 or higher, depending on the interaction of this intuition die. And you can use your mark to cast the Gentle Repose and Speak with Dead spells as a ritual. You can also cast Spirit Guardians once with your mark. That's probably... You probably need once per day or once per long rest. Sorry. Ooh, pardon me. You can also cast Spirit Guardians. Okay, when you reach 15th level, you can cast Dance Macabre once with your mark. You can't cast these spells again until you finish a long rest. Charisma is your spellcasting ability for these spells. Then you can take the Subraces Mark of Death as a feat. Dragonborn or Elf, you have to have the Greater Mark of Death or no Dragon Mark, and be 12th level or higher. You possess a Subraces Dragon Mark, the largest and most powerful expression of a Dragon Mark. This may have evolved from an existing Greater Dragon Mark, or you may have manifested it spontaneously. The Subraces Dragon Mark of Death provides the following benefits. Another Charisma bump. When you make an ability check to interact with a dragon or another dragon-marked creature, you can roll 1 intuition die and add the number rolled to the ability check. That's really good for persuading and intimidating. There's a lot of good interaction you can have there. You know the Revivify, Speak with Dead, and Spirit Guardian spells, and can cast these spells once with your mark. You can't cast these spells again until you finish a long rest. If you already have a Greater Mark of Death, you can cast Spirit Guardians twice before you finish a long rest. And Charisma is your spellcasting ability for these spells. The Child of Khyber, the War of the Mark. An in-depth look at the role of aberrant Dragonmarks, from their earliest recorded appearances to the present day. Is the fear of aberrant marks justified, or is it the result of the propaganda of the 12? So we have the official bloodlines. We have the official marks. Even this one that's supposed to be rare and gets you hunted down. However, in a world where dragon marks exist, there's one man, one mark, one way forward. That's with aberrant dragon marks. It's a spontaneous manifestation of this sort of inherent kind of magical imbuing sign of draconic lineage. Wow, I loaded into Matty Morg saying you're the nicest guy in the world, but you need to die. It's chilling. Welcome, Daily. Organic Artist, hello and welcome back again. Thank you for joining us. I can send it to you mean you can't? You should be able to put a link into Discord. A lot of people have put Google Doc links in the mentor workshop. So it might depend on the channel in which you wanted to put a link like that. For that, it would probably be the role playing workshop on our Discord. But if it's not working, there it is. You can't post any link to Discord? That's weird. Well, I'll have to take a look at it. Oh, okay, Razia. Well, I have it opened up in a side tab. Oh, okay. All right. An Aberrant Dragonmark is a gift of mystical power. Though it can be a painful and distressing curse to bear, and its powers might even be difficult or in some cases impossible to control. The legendary Lady of the Plague was responsible for the deaths of thousands before she learned to control her abilities. Even an ability that duplicates a spell as simple as Firebolt can be devastating to the individual, and a person who possesses such a mark could have killed friends or even destroyed city blocks in a fiery blaze before mastering this power. This has led the common people to fear those who carry aberrant marks, paranoid that all of them could be murderers, mad, or both. The progenitor dragon Khyber is said to be the source of all things monstrous and evil, and those who carry aberrant dragon marks in adolescence are called children of Khyber. The Aberrant Dragonmark feat in the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron allows a character to manifest an Aberrant Dragonmark over the course of a campaign. A child of Khyber has developed their mark earlier in their life and faced prejudice because of this tragic but rare power. An Aberrant mark can appear on members of almost any race or family that has been recorded to bear a dragon mark, and a child of Khyber chooses a subrace to define their original racial identity. Whether it occurred in the first time an Aberrant mark manifested or before mastery of its abilities, Aberrant marks are usually central to a terrible tragedy that has had a deep and lasting impact. The consequences of this event could be public and social, an ongoing scar to a reputation, or they could be secret and deeply personal. Many a child of Khyber has caused the death of a loved one with their mark and fled, ashamed of the embarrassment, but never publicly tried with the crime. Again, we're getting the roleplay considerations if you want to take this. In Eberron, this is the balancing factor for having such a thing. So let's say we're making a character that has an aberrant mark. Let's roll the d6 and come up with an interesting prompt for that. 6. Ruin. Your mark caused the destruction of something that was extremely precious. You could have destroyed your home, an important document, an arcane research project, or something else that was extremely valuable to you or others. Here are suggestions, especially with the different backgrounds you can find in the player's handbook, about what it could mean to be a child of Khyber. To live in an environment that that does chase you and bully you or hunt you down like that. Your Child of Khyber has a number of talents and supernatural abilities in common with other Aberrant marked creatures. Your Constitution score increases by 1. Aberrant Birth. You know a cantrip from the Sorcerer's spell list. When you reach 3rd level, you can choose one 1st level spell from the Sorcerer's spell list and can cast it as a 2nd level spell once with this trait and regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Constitution is your spellcasting ability for these aberrant spells. A hard road. It's been a hard road and you learned a few tricks from those around you just to survive. Choose one of the following backgrounds: charlatan, criminal, outlander, or urchin. You gain the background's proficiencies and feature, but not its equipment, in addition to your own. I like that, to have this kind of dual background, because it's really fitting for someone who has had to live this dual life. I'm not super tired. Heck, it's only 12:30. I don't know. It's kind of warm. I have a heating vent behind me. I'm kind of toasty, and I've had a pretty good day. So I'm nice and relaxed. I got some good sleep, like way earlier, but it was solid sleep. Dragons or other Dragonmark creatures have advantage on intelligence investigation checks made to locate your mark. As an action, you can expend the use of one of your aberrant spells to immediately spend a number of hit dice up to your spell level. Add your Constitution modifier and regain a number of hit points equal to the total. Ooh. You can speak, read, and write Common and Goblin. And you get to choose a subrace. While your Aberrant Mark makes you a Child of Khyber and firmly outside the social boundaries of your heritage, you aren't without some of the natural gifts inherent to your birth race. Choose one of these subraces. Your age, size, and speed match the standard values of your subrace, and you count as both a Child of Khyber and a member of your subrace for feats and other requirements. So in this case, we're actually given a race, but it needs a subrace attached to it. And so we would need to put a subrace on. So we could be a Child of Khyber drow. So we don't get the elf benefits, though we count as an elf. But we're a Child of Khyber drow, so we get the drow benefits. Do you remember the 3/5 monster template from Eberron Mage Bred Animal? I did a bunch of world building where the impure princes were doing experimentations to breed stable lineages of aberrant marks. I do not, unfortunately, organic. It has been a long time since I've played and really delved into 3/5. An Aberrant Dwarf. You have no affinity for stone or smithing, no training with axe and hammer, but you're tough and resilient, and your dark vision serves you well in alleys and shadows. So we increase our con by 1, we get dark vision, dwarven resilience, and toughness. Aberrant Elf. Aberrant marks have no place in Erenal. The elves take pride in the ancient bloodlines and traditions and see aberrant marks as a form of corruption. While you may be shunned by the Ereni and the Valinar, your Fey ancestry provides you with natural gifts. Increase Dex by 1 and Int. Dex or Int. I'm sorry, or. Dark Vision, Fey ancestry, and Trance. Okay, that makes sense. The Trust of Zilargo keeps a close rein on anything that could disturb the peace. This is for an aberrant gnome. However, the Trust occasionally conscripts children of Khyber, training them as agents and assassins. The Charlatan spy background is a way to reflect this. Are you still working for the Trust, or have you escaped the agency? Increase Int by 1. Accustomed to life in the shadows, you have superior vision. Okay, yeah, that's dark vision and gnome cunning, as per the player's handbook. All right, so I think you can see what's going on here. If you're playing one of these races in Eberron, good roleplay fodder. And now let's take a look at evolutionary feats. So these are racial feats, right? While most characters evolve during campaigns through leveling up, some DMs also allow the use of feats to customize a character. Feats are an optional, I guess that should be optional rule, but this is an option rule in Chapter 6. The DM decides whether they're used and may also decide that some feats are available in a campaign and others aren't. You can take a feat only once, and you must meet any prerequisites. This section introduces a collection of special feats that allow you to explore your character's growth further in Eberron and other campaign settings. These feats are associated with the race or culture from the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron, as summarized on the Evolutionary Feats table, and represent a deeper connection to your race's culture or a physical transformation that brings you closer to an aspect of your character's journey. So, with DM's permission here, I sent all the notes I had done on Eberron into the dev team. It's funny seeing hints of my material. Oh, cool, Organic. Well then, if you're seeing the fruits of this labor, then it's neat then that they read it and they've considered it. Hopefully you don't feel slighted or they, you feel like they stole the things that you had submitted into them. But that's cool. That's neat that you wrote it and you submitted it to them. You're honored. Awesome. I mean, yeah, this is incorporating something very personal you spent a lot of time on into the ongoing lore. This perpetual part of you now will live on through the story of Eberron. Dragon Forged, yes. So, I have a Warforged. I have a Dragonborn. Dragon Forged. So an atavist. You must be a Kalishtar. Kalishtar are an interesting race. And so this is stuff that goes back to Wayfinder's Guide here. Increase int or wisdom by 1. When you communicate telepathically with a creature using your mind link trait, you can simultaneously communicate with any number of creatures up to your proficiency bonus. As a bonus action, when you're speaking telepathically to one or more creatures, you can give those creatures the ability to speak telepathically to each other and until the start of your next turn. Use this ability. To use this ability, the creatures must be within 60 feet of you and be able to see you. You're a switchboard operator for psychic conversations, for the Psychic Friends Network. You can call to your quarry spirit for guidance in all things. If you miss with an attack roll or fail an ability check or saving throw, you gain a bonus to the roll equal to your intelligence or wisdom modifier. You choose when you make the roll, provided you aren't incapacitated. Once you use this ability, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Pretty solid. Definitely makes you more of a Kalishtar than a Kalishtar before. Chameleon, you have to be a changeling. You've honed your natural shape-shifting powers and gain the following benefits. Increase charisma by 1. You can use your change appearance trait as a bonus action. And you can use Unsettling Visage twice before completing a short or long rest. Organic Artist says, my version were kobolds that did it to themselves, but the result is smaller. You could be a Hierophant. The ability to cast a druid or ranger spell is the requirement. You gain proficiency with nature or survival. You learn the Speak with Animals spell and can cast it once without expending a spell slot. Short or long rest to get it back, and Wisdom is the spellcasting ability. You gain 1 use of the Wild Shape feature available to the Druid class and can use it to shift into any beast you have seen before with a rating of CR 1/8 or below. That's kind of cool. So you're taking a quick dip into Druid with that. And considering if you are taking other feats, it's not that difficult to be able to get this, because you just need the ability to cast a Druid or Ranger spell. That could be a cantrip, right? Once you do, you can't do so again until you complete a short or long rest. If you have the Wild Shape feature from another source, you gain an additional use with the benefits and restrictions of that feature instead. Moonspeaker. You have to be a shifter, Wear-Touch Master, and 8th level. You call to the moon, awoo, to entice your lycanthropic ancestors to further enhance your shifting abilities. Dex increases by 1. Choose a shifter subrace other than your own. When you shift, you also gain the benefits of its shifting feature in addition to your own. Oh my. There's some good ones in there too, my goodness. If you're conscious when your shifting trait ends, you regain a number of hit points equal to your constitution score up to your hit point maximum. You can have a Quarry Nightmare as a Kalishtar. Your Quarry Spirit once crafted nightmares, and now you can draw on its power to inspire fear in others. Int increases by 1. You gain proficiency in the Intimidation skill. If you're already proficient, it is doubled. You get an expertise effectively. When you telepathically communicate with a creature, you can attempt to frighten it as an action. The creature must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw. Or be frightened to the ending next turn. A creature that succeeds on this saving throw can't be frightened by you in this way for an hour. Spirit Rider. Halfling or a Wood Elf. Can communicate telepathically with your mount. You have advantage on animal handling checks made to control your mount, and your mount has advantage on acrobatics and athletics checks. You can communicate simple ideas through sounds and gestures with other creatures of the same type as your mount. They might need to add, some sort of distance or other qualifier, like within 60 feet, and you can hear and see, or something along those lines. I totally get the theme. Maybe just a little clarification on that. Warforged Colossus. You have to be a Warforged with a strength 13 or higher. Increase your strength by 1. You can use your reaction to reduce the distance you moved against your will by up to 10 feet. Wow, that's kind of some old-fashioned what dwarves in, similar to what dwarves in 4th edition got. When you move at least 30 feet in a straight line before you make a melee weapon attack using your strength and you hit, you can add your strength modifier to the damage twice instead of once. Ooh, as a DM, if that's the case and you're allowing this, like, hand a token out. That way everyone remembers. You're like, oh yeah, because sometimes you might take a break at that point. Warforged Reclaimer, 6th level Warforged. You transfer the power of magical armor you find during your travels into your integrated armor. Magical armor you absorb must have a rarity of very rare or lower and can't be sentient. Transferring the armor's magical properties requires 8 hours of uninterrupted work, which you can complete when you finish a long rest. If you repeat the process, the old enchantment is lost and the new one takes its place. You always gain that property and can't replace it with a new enchantment unless you are targeted by the remove curse spell or similar magic. Okay. So you already have a high AC, but if you want magical effects, this is a way to kind of graft those effects onto you. They can be so much fun, Klepto, yes. And Evelon, yes, shifters are totally the Awu race. You feel better now? Oh, well, Evelon, come here. Bring it in. There we go. Yep. You know, when I introduced changelings to my old incarnation of the world that I run, we had to. It was new, and there was reasons for this to have occurred, but there was a court case that we were going through, and the PCs were really in a pinch, and so they're looking for a way to get out of this murder trial, as one of them was accused. And so one of the players said, the changeling defense. And I, as the judge, looked, what do you mean? Well, there's these changelings that have been starting to come up in our society. That's where this person comes from. How do we know that our friend whom you say did these things wasn't a changeling instead? And so the giant court, had to stop and think and say, all right, we are going to hold off the trial until a test can be devised that can make sure that your friend is not a changeling, or otherwise that proof of changeling or not a changeling is obtained. And so I gave them in-game, I don't know, like 2 weeks to experiment and to come up with a way to try and test changeling blood. And ever since that day, the changeling defense has been brought up is somewhere in the course of a campaign. And finally, Were-Touched Master, which was invoked here earlier with Moonspeaker. Prerequisite Shifter, the strength of your lycanthropic heritage increases, expanding your primal abilities. You gain one of the following benefits. Dex by 1, choose the shifter subrace other than your own. You also gain the traits of that subrace, but not its ability score increase or shifting feature. If you are conscious when your shifting feature ends, you regain hit points equal to your con mod. Alright, I'm going to leave off this first part on backgrounds. I got to get up and stretch, keep the blood going here, especially if I'm all like warm and comfy because I got the heating vent and everything. I want to get up. I want to keep things moving. So we're going to look at the new backgrounds, and we're going to approach them and look them over, have fun, maybe imagine characters that act in this way, because there are backgrounds that we find here as well. And we'll come back and have fun. So yep, we'll be back in just a little bit, and I may very well have maybe some queso and chips. I'm wondering what I should have as my break snack. We'll find out, right?